Right now, you're listening to me through an XLR condenser microphone, which is nothing too crazy or unusual, but you might notice that I'm moving around quite a bit. I'm getting closer to the microphone and further away from the microphone. I'm going over here, and I'm going over here, and I can also step away from the microphone, and it's going to mute itself so until I get closer to the microphone, and then it unmutes itself. And again, this is all being done with just an XLR microphone, but this is not just any XLR microphone. This is the Lewitt Ray, which is outrageously great. This video is not sponsored, but Lewitt did send me the Ray for free. I'm not obligated to make a video or say anything specific about it, but when they told me about this microphone and all the things it can do, I was super curious and I wanted to check it out for myself because I've never really heard of anything like this with just an XLR microphone. And the cool part is they sent it to me like 2 months ago. So even though it's kind of just coming out now at the time I'm making this video, I've had a lot of time to use this microphone. I've done podcasts and all kinds of projects where I used it where people couldn't see it and they didn't know which microphone it was, but it was this one the whole time. And it's been great again to use. I've been a fan of Lewitt microphones since I first used the LCT 240 Pro right here. This is an awesome microphone that now has an MSRP of $99. It's an absolutely amazing microphone. And then I tried this one, which is the LCT 440 Pure, which is a pure joy to use, and now the Lewitt Ray, which is a little bit different. And when I say a little bit, it has a lot of different features, but the core microphone, if I turn off all that functionality and it just becomes kind of a normal microphone, now it's not following my voice, it's not adjusting the level. At this point, it basically just becomes a 440 Pure. So the cool thing with that is if you like this microphone, but you're not into all the cool features I'm going to talk about, you could just spend $289 and get the 440 Pure right here. But if you do like all of those features and you want to be able to kind of move with some freedom around the microphone and do the auto mute and all that stuff, then you can get the Ray for an MSRP of $349. And also, you don't just get the microphone. Hopefully you get the microphone for your price. You also get the shock mount and this magnetic metal mesh pop filter, which I did buy extra for like my 240 over there because Peter Piper pitched a podcast. The microphone is prone to plosives, as many condensers are, but you pop this pop filter on there. Now, Peter Piper pitched a podcast. It really handles pretty much all the plosives, and I think it's a pretty slick little design as well. Also, you do still get the standard foam windscreen and a carry case. So you get pretty much everything you need with the microphone other than an XLR cable and I guess a stand or a boom arm, except that was my cheesy way of introducing one of my favorite features of this microphone. I didn't want to take the Ray out of the arm, so this is the 240 right here, but it's the same size, same body style, same everything. The box of the Ray does something that I have not seen any other product's box do. If you take the lid off and you turn it around, now there's a hole here and a hole here, and that means you can pop in your microphone, you can run in your XLR cable through the other one, and now you have a mic stand. Literally out of the box, you have a mic stand. And if this is too short, I can just pop it up here, and now I've got a mic stand. I'm guessing this is probably not the one you would want to use forever. It's a sturdy box. Maybe it lasts a long time, and I guess it's pretty cool looking as well. This is just fun to me, and I love the idea that in addition to working and making this really cool microphone, they actually spent time and effort to do something which is kind of ridiculous and unnecessary, but makes everything just more fun and enjoyable. And that kind of goes in line with the whole microphone. There's a lot this microphone doesn't need to do, but that it does do, that makes the whole process of using it more fun and enjoyable. The thing that lets me do this, that lets me move around and the microphone keeps my level even, is called Aura, and I can kind of show you that if I shine this light right here. Here on the front of the microphone, you can kind of see these two pill-shaped things. The one on the left is the Aura sensor. The one on the right is nothing. It's just there to sort of balance things out visually. But what this sensor does is it shoots lasers at me, which sounds very high-tech and sci-fi-y, and it's basically a proximity sensor. It just knows when something is in front of the microphone, and when it detects that I am the thing in front of the microphone and now I'm further away, it's adjusting the microphone's level so that way the level stays the same even as I get closer and further away from the microphones. That means I can move around the microphone without needing to worry about adjusting levels myself. But as you probably just heard for a little bit right there, it can't defy the laws of physics. Believe it or not, this $350 microphone can't defy the laws of physics. What I mean by that is if I step back here, the audio quality, you're hearing a lot of reverb, a lot of room tone. It does not sound good. You won't want to listen to this for an hour. But if you just listen to the level, for me from back here and then me up here, the level, and I can even see it here, everything's running through the Mackie DLZ Creator XS with no effects and no processing. The level, as I can see, isn't changing. The microphone is keeping the level even, and it would do this on any mixer or any interface that has phantom power. So the reason I bring that up is that this is not supposed to be a shotgun microphone. If I switch over now to my Sennheiser MKH50, which is a shotgun microphone that's positioned a few feet away from me out of frame, this is a microphone that is designed to be able to, I guess, isolate and pick up sound from more of a distance. But if I get that far away from the Ray, it does not sound nearly as good as when I'm the same distance away from the MKH50, because it's not supposed to be a shotgun microphone. I just want to make that super clear. I think that because it can pick you up from far away does not mean that that's what it's intended to do. It is a 1-inch condenser microphone. The closer you are to it, kind of the better it sounds. Well, the whole point, though, is that when I'm relatively close to the microphone, I no longer have to worry about having perfect mic technique. I can kind of move around, I can make some mistakes, move closer and further from the microphone, and the listener shouldn't, hopefully, be able to tell. I have been sneakily using this on some audio-only podcasts over the past few months, and again, it's worked great, and no one's been able to tell. That's not to encourage poor mic technique. That's not saying, hey, all the time you spent learning how to use microphones properly? Forget all that because magic. No, it's a really helpful thing, especially if you're like a one-person crew and sometimes, you're doing a live stream, you're doing something and you find yourself like contorting to like go reach something, but you want to keep your good mic technique. Now you just have a little more freedom to move around, which is really, really helpful. And if you're working with somebody who's not used to talking into a microphone, like someone's coming in to be a guest on a podcast, instead of giving them a lecture on proper mic technique that they're probably going to forget anyway, because a lot of times when people aren't used to talking to microphones and you ask them to do a sound check, they lean real close to the microphone and give you a sound check. And then when they actually start recording, they tend to kind of lean further away. And the way they actually talk during the recording never matches the actual sound check that you got. And it's always a little frustrating, but using a microphone is a relatively unnatural thing. So for a normal person, they're not thinking about that kind of stuff. Only abnormal people, like audio nerds, are thinking about those kinds of things. So in this case, you can put this microphone in front of somebody without a lot of microphone experience, and it's still gonna sound great. Those features by themselves, I think, are really cool, but what makes it extra just interesting and fun to me is the fact that this is all just done via XLR. Which is not new. XLR has been around for like 70 years at this point. And so the Ray is working with this old and relatively simple technology, but it's doing some pretty advanced things with it. And I guess maybe that's not accurate. Maybe it's more accurate to say it's finding simple ways to do things that seem advanced. Because it is a condenser mic. So as a condenser, like any condenser microphone, the Ray does require phantom power from your mixer or your interface in order to work. The cool part is that pretty much any interface or mixer, even the cheapest, lowest budget single channel interface, probably has phantom power, which means you can power this microphone or any condenser microphone with it. And that phantom power also powers that sensor, which does all that really cool proximity stuff. It's not like Face ID on your phone. It's not that advanced. It's not recognizing my face and knowing that I'm right here, and if someone else is here, it's gonna not detect them or reject them and focus on me. All it is a proximity sensor that knows something is in front of the microphone. You can kind of see, again, from over here, this like 1977 style Star Wars display on the front here is what is telling me how close or far away I am from the microphone. Right now I'm doing that with my face, but if I put my hand here, you can kind of see my hand is now changing it because it's just seeing something in front of it. You can even hear the gain changing as I put my hand closer. My voice, the gain is lower because it thinks the sound is coming from something this close. And if I move my hand further away, the gain will go up because it thinks now it's coming from something over here. So it doesn't matter if it's a hand, a human, something else. It just needs to know that something is in front of the microphone. And you can kind of, if I go away and then I come back real quick, you kind of heard that it had to quickly adjust the level there. I apologize if that messed up your headphones or anything. But that is because there's nothing in front of the microphone, and now there's something really quick in front of the microphone. So don't make any sudden movements. around the microphone like that. But if you're just doing kind of subtle movements, it's going to adjust very smoothly, very kind of invisibly, and just keep everything sounding really good. And as I showed you just a second ago, there are two buttons on the front, and this is how you interact with the microphone. The button on the left is the Aura button. So if I press that, it is now turned off that sensor, and this is now just a 440 pure. So this is just an XLR microphone, nothing else. If I tap that button again, now it is a microphone that's doing all this really cool proximity stuff. And you can kind of hear the handling noise when I push the button. It's not invisible, but it's not huge. I think ideally you would want to set your sensor and mute functions before you start recording just to be safe. But there is a mute button, so if I needed to mute it, I could just press that. And unpress it again, and now it is unmuted, which is how any mute button works on anything, but they have mutated this mute button to do a couple other interesting things. What's really cool is it almost works like there's some kind of audio autofocus, like rudimentary audio autofocus. They could call it audio focus. And the mute button takes advantage of that too. So what I can do is, as I showed you at the beginning of this video, I can have it auto mute. So for example, these bars right here which show proximity, this one right here is the closest. As I move away, the bars get smaller, and that shows me that I'm getting further away. What I can do is I can say, let's do this second one right here. I can press and hold the mute switch. Then the mute button is going to start flashing. And if I just stay here, eventually it's going to turn green. And so now anytime that this goes to that second bar, it's going to mute itself. So I lean away, come back, and now I'm unmuted. The question you might have is, if I have this cool proximity sensor that lets me get further away from the microphone, why would I want to not take advantage of that? Why would I want to have it mute when I get away from the microphone? There are a couple of reasons. The first and foremost is biological, meaning sometimes you need to sneeze or cough as a human being. And if I need to do that, I can just lean away, make a loud noise, and then come back. And then here we go. Now I'm back. So that's pretty nice. Also, if I'm on a podcast where there's another host or a couple other people and they're talking a lot more than me, instead of me just being silent, and sometimes you hear like mouth sounds or like breathing sounds, I can just lean back. My microphone signal is going to be totally muted. My audio is not going to be affecting anything. And then when I'm ready to talk, I can lean forward and say whatever it is I need to say. And the cool thing is, since it's doing this automatically, you notice the mute is very silent and smooth. You can't really hear a pop or a click. You don't hear a button being smooth mute thing. It does sound almost like somebody is over here muting me on the mixer instead, which is very, very cool. And since it doesn't have to be me that moves, it can just be the microphone. If I move the microphone away, say I'm on a video call, and I don't need to say anything, I can just move the mic. And when I'm ready to talk, I can move the mic back, and now it's unmuted. So you have all these different ways to kind of use these features, which are pretty cool. And very few XLR microphones that I know of have a mute function at all. It's usually something you only see in a USB microphone or a USB XLR combo mic. So to not only have a mute button, but one that also does these other really cool things is pretty awesome. And if I want to turn this off because I want to go back to the proximity sensor, I just press and hold the mute button again. And now it's back to being normal, and it'll pick up my voice, and the proximity sensor works and everything. And if I get things dialed in, I turn on the Aura sensor, I get the mute set how I want it, I can press both of these buttons at the same time to lock the settings. And then when I want to unlock it, I can press them again. So that, again, if you're working with someone else and you don't want them to mess with the microphone, you can dial things in, lock the settings, give the microphone to them, they do their thing, they can't mess with it, and then you don't have to worry about them messing up your audio, which is pretty nice. So my favorite thing about this microphone is kind of that freedom that it gives you to not have to be static anymore. You never want static in your audio, and now you don't have to be static either. I can move around, I can kind of feel a little bit more like a person when I'm recording, instead of trying to just focus on having perfect mic technique all the time. So again, it's been super helpful to me as like a one-person production crew. Could be super helpful for people who are not used to talking to microphones, and things like instruments. If you have an acoustic guitar or a woodwind, like a saxophone or something, being able to position the microphone near them, and the person playing is kind of moving a little bit, but the microphone's going to adapt to their sound, especially in a live setting. That's something that I think would be incredibly helpful. So again, it is just a good condenser microphone, which is great for spoken word, great for music, great for vocals, pretty much anything. And you just have these other features to sort of take some of the stress away from you, which I think, again, is great. It's a ray of sunshine. It's hooray for the Ray. I'll stop now. But speaking of things that I say hooray for, it's all of the people who help support my channel through Patreon and YouTube channel memberships. And if you want to check out some of those other cool microphones that I mentioned in this video, check out these videos right here. Or should I say, right here.